This Australia Day, we offer a reflection from a Buddhist perspective on compassion, kindness, and our shared humanity in a rapidly changing world. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, and we honour their enduring connection to it. We live in a world that moves faster every day. News travels instantly. Technology grows smarter. Nations feel closer, yet sometimes further apart than ever. Across the globe, uncertainty rises. Conflict, fear, and division often dominate our attention. And yet, here we are, on this land, on this day. Australia Day is more than a celebration. It is a moment to reflect on where we stand in a changing world, to reflect on how we live, not just as individuals, but as a community bound by shared humanity. In times of global tension, the question is not only what we celebrate, but who we choose to be. In Buddhist teachings, there is a simple yet profound idea. Compassion is not weakness. It is wisdom in action. Compassion means recognizing suffering, not turning away from it. It means understanding that fear often sits beneath anger, and that kindness can soften even the hardest moments. In a world shaped by competition and speed, compassion asks us to slow down and see one another clearly. We now live alongside machines that can learn, decide, and create. Artificial intelligence shapes our work, our conversations, even our understanding of truth. But no matter how advanced our technology becomes, it cannot replace the human heart. AI can process information, but only humans can choose kindness. Only humans can listen deeply. Only humans can respond with care. The future will not be defined by intelligence alone, but by compassion guiding how that intelligence is used. Kindness does not always make headlines. It lives quietly, in a helping hand, a patient conversation, a moment of understanding. It lives in classrooms, hospitals, homes, and in the shared spaces between strangers. These small acts matter. In Buddhism, loving kindness begins with the simple wish: may you be safe, may you be well, may you live with ease. When practiced daily, these wishes become actions. Australia is not one story. It is many stories, many cultures, many voices. Compassion does not require us to agree on everything. It asks only that we recognise each other's dignity. In a divided world, choosing kindness becomes a powerful act. It says, we can disagree without dehumanising. We can progress without leaving others behind. We can grow without losing our humanity. The challenges ahead, geopolitical, technological, environmental, will not be solved by force alone. They will require patience, wisdom, and compassion. Buddhism teaches that peace begins within and ripples outward through our choices. When we act with kindness, we contribute to a future shaped not by fear, but by understanding. On this Australia Day, may we pause, not just to celebrate, but to reflect. May we remember that in an age of rising tension and rapid change, compassion remains timeless. May we choose words that heal, actions that uplift, and kindness that connects us all. Today and every day, may Australia move forward with wisdom in mind and compassion at heart. May the merits of this reflection be shared with all beings, without exception.
Australia Day 2026, Many Faiths and Cultures, One Australia. Australian Day 2026 is being celebrated amid accelerating tensions, conflicts, aggressive statements, extremist behaviours and regional wars. Unfortunately, a terror attack that killed 15 people during a Jewish Hanukkah celebration on the 14th of December 2026 in Bondi, a well-known tourist attraction in New South Wales, Australia, has tremendously shocked the Australian community and worldwide. There are increasing fears and concerns about the safety and well-being of the ordinary people whose lives can be put at risk while practicing their own faith and culture due to the extremist perverted minds. Reactions and responses to this Bondi terror attack include calls for a federal royal commission into anti-Semitism, examination of all forms of racism rather than focusing solely on anti-Semitism, ban of extremist Islamic organizations and tougher immigration screening, support for Holocaust education in schools, support for anti-vilification laws and tougher gun control and hate speech laws. This Bondi terror attack has also heated up the political arena. The government faces push from several Labor MPs on the hate speech and vilification laws. The rupture in the federal opposition over the government's hate speech and gun control laws have led to recent resignations of all national MPs from the shadow cabinet. The above responses appear to focus on providing medications to reduce the outer symptoms of the critical illness of terror attack and violence. It would be much appropriate and effective if its root cause can be deeply examined and assessed for full treatment and recovery. What was in the mind of the gunman leading to his fatal shooting? Greed, hatred, ignorance, mental illness, or all? Would this massacre have been avoided if peace, loving kindness and respect flourished in his mind? The right answers to these questions would form a solid foundation for building best possible solutions to prevent and diminish such fatal terror attacks in the future. May education for peace, loving kindness and mutual respect and understanding play an important role in our long journey towards the world's peace and particularly keeping Australia in sustainable peace, harmony and prosperity. Calling for peace is great, but working effectively for peace is greater and more important. Peace should start from our own mind first. Outer peace without inner peace is not a sustainable peace. May religious and faith leaders stand up and join hands in a united and coordinated voice to ensure that religious and cultural traditions serve as a genuine and dynamic source of right solutions rather than as problems in effectively engaging and responding to the world's rapidly accelerating violence and conflicts. Australian people have rich, diverse cultures, ethnicities and religions, but also have fundamental values of freedom, democracy, equality, loving kindness, mutual respect and tolerance which should be shared and devotedly observed in a non-negotiable manner. Many faiths and cultures, one Australia. The National Day of Mourning has been held in a high united and harmonious spirit in commemoration of the victims of the Bondi terror attack at Opera House on the 22nd of January 2026. Coincidentally, the Buddha's 2,300-year-old relics from France arrived in Sydney on the same day for one-day public homage as a sacred cultural heritage to remind everyone of living a meaningful life in peace, harmony and wisdom. May this year's Australia Day bring about greater peace, social cohesion and prosperity for all to proudly call Australia a livable home.
Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we gather today, and pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging. I honor their continuing connection to land, waters and community, and the wisdom carried on this continent for 10,000 years. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and families, my name is Vince Cavuoto and I'm the Vice President of the Buddha Care. Happy Australia Day. Today is a day of celebration, but also reflection. Australia Day means different things to different people. For many, it represents opportunity, freedom and belonging. For others, it carries complexity, pain and unresolved history. A mature nation does not try to flatten these differences. It learns how to hold them with honesty and care. That ability to stay present with complexity without dividing is exactly what Buddha Care is here to speak about today. On Australia Day, many organizations offer messages about unity, kindness, and building a better world. These values matter. But Buddha Care is not here today to offer slogans. We are not here to tell people to be kinder, be more tolerant, be more patient. Because most of us already value these things. The question is not what we value. The question is what actually happens shapes our behavior when life is difficult. Buddha Care exists to address that question at its root. In calm moments, most of us relate to life quite well. But in moments of pressure, when we feel challenged, threatened, misunderstood, or overwhelmed, something changes. Our attention narrows, we move quickly into interpretation. We tell ourselves stories about what something means. This is not a flaw, it's part of being human. But when we don't notice the shift, we begin to confuse our reactions with reality. And our reactions start to run the show. This is where unnecessary conflict begins. Buddha Care focuses on something very simple and practical. Learning to notice what is happening in us as it is happening. Not to analyze ourselves, not to judge ourselves, not to improve ourselves, just to notice. For example, noticing tension before we're speaking sharply, noticing defensiveness before arguing, and noticing fear before blaming. This moment of noticing changes everything, because once we see what is happening, we are no longer trapped inside it. We regain choice. This is what Buddha Care calls experiential literacy, a basic human skill we were never taught. Much of our modern tension, personal, social and political, comes from the same place. We take experience personally. A disagreement becomes about me. A difference of opinion becomes a threat. A moment of discomfort becomes an identity to defend. When this happens, conflict is almost inevitable. But when people learn to see this process as it unfolds, something softens. They don't have to win, they don't have to attack, they don't have to harden. They can respond rather than react. This is not ideology, it is practical human understanding. Why this matters now? Recent events in our country have reminded us how fragile things can be. We have seen moments of fear, grief and shock, and also a moment of genuine care with people standing together across differences. That compassion matters. That compassion needs support. If people do not know how to stay with difficult emotions, fear, anger, grief, those emotions will not disappear. They move elsewhere. Experiential literacy helps people process experience rather than pass it on. This is how harm stops. So, Buddha Care is an educational charity committed to advancing education for human well-being. We are not offering beliefs, we are not offering answers. We are offering a capacity to look, a capacity to notice, a capacity to pause, the capacity to remain human under pressure. Just as we teach reading, road safety, and digital literacy, we believe it's time to teach this as well. Because societies are shaped not only by systems and laws, but how people meet their own experience. So, on Australia Day, Buddha Care offers something a little different. Not a slogan, not a promise, a skill we were never taught. The ability to look at our own experience, especially when it matters most. Because a society that understands itself does not need enemies. A community that can stay present does not need to divide. Happy Australia Day, and thank you.